Why do we snack? Because we have nothing better to do? Well, people who snack on almonds have something better to do. Almonds are heart healthy and full of energy, with the crunch that keeps you in the game. California almonds. Crunch on.
This is the Best of Mike and Mike podcast on ESPNRadio.com. The Best of Mike and Mike.
Hey, it's Golic. Thanks for checking out the Best of Mike and Mike's podcast. Here's what we have for you today. Cavs beat a frustrated Bulls team. Mark Jackson talk about the Bulls and more from the NBA. We go around the NFL with Mark Brunell, Rob Demovsky on the depressed Packers, and we do some hashtag Mike's prop bets.
The Best of Mike and Mike.
Maybe deflated footballs, but no deflated opinions or a lack of energy on this program. Adnan Virk in for Greeny today, where Mike and Mike is always presented by Progressive Insurance, and our guest joining us via the Subway Fresh Take Hotline alongside Golic. It is great to have you with us. Deflated footballs. Who would have thought that would be a major topic yesterday?
I mean, well, when it's surrounding the Patriots, and you heard Tom Brady's response. And listen, who knows where that'll go. As we said, the worst-case scenario, they're guilty, they get fined, they lose draft picks, and they're marked for even more of their careers now.
The only thing's hurting the Belichick dynasty.
At the other side of it, you just laugh it off and see where it ends up. Doesn't diminish their victory, at least in my eyes. They destroyed the Colts, and we know what happened in the NFC game. Plenty of time to talk about it. We're going to the Super Bowl. Appreciate you filling in for Greeny. Greeny's out moving his book. Moving product.
The
today.
hype machine.
Yeah, well, the book comes out today. Is My Father's Wives. Greeny wrote it on the book.
Yeah. Talented guy.
Listen, I'll give him credit. Whenever we're on flight somewhere, outside of him, if we're not in the same seat, him asking the person sitting by me to move so he can sit next to me, which drives me nuts.
It's a little weird.
I know. I usually tell the person to say no, but they end up being nice and saying yes.
Is that like a comfort thing? Or
it's an aggravating thing. I'll tell you that much.
Maybe it's contractual.
But I give him credit. He's writing. He's constantly writing. Writing, editing. I mean, he loves this. He loves to turn them into screenplays, plays, whatever, writing books. I mean, he loves. I know Colin loves to write as well.
Exactly. Yeah. You are not of that type.
I was a big drawer. Not a writer.
You're just scribbling.
Make pictures.
Right.
I guess it could be a good word. You know what? If they could put out a book of doodling. Mm-hmm. I think I'd be right there.
Golic, bestseller.
Yeah. I
Morning show plus an award-winning doodler.
I am a little upset. Greeny he didn't let me pre-read this one and put a blurb. His last book, he let my wife have a blurb.
Right.
I didn't get a blurb on this one. He didn't want me to let me read it, and he doesn't let me help edit. Because he edits on the plane as well, and I said, let me help, I'll edit.
He doesn't trust your spelling, your grammar, your sense.
No, he's seen my tweets and texts and such, which don't have a whole lot of punctuation, so he's not really going to buy what I do there. So he's out doing that. Appreciate you sitting in today. He's got another book out, so hopefully that will sell well, and so he's not here today, so that means we get to talk some movies as well.
Absolutely,
he doesn't like to go see some of the movies that I like to see, and certainly you like to see.
Absolutely, we can talk a little American Sniper later today. You saw the Invitation game, so we'll get into that a little bit later on. And right now we're on ESPN News. That's because the Aussie Open right now is currently on ESPN 2, but we'll be moving over there at the top of next hour. But let's begin a little NBA conversation. Some streaks. The Hawks record their 13th straight win. I was with Avery Johnson yesterday in studio for that game during the day on MLK Day. That's one shot of their franchise record. They've got a great defense and a lot of players along with Jeff Teague, Al Horford, really playing well.
What a great defense. You said it there. A team, nobody's averaging, I think, over 33 minutes. Nobody's averaging over 18 points. It's just a team effort, offensively and defensively, what they're able to do. Love Horford and what he's doing this year as well. So, we saw the Washingtons last year. It's like, well, I guess it's because you watch football so much, you don't really start paying attention to the NBA till football is over. At least a lot of the country basketball people certainly do.
Right.
So you got all of a sudden you're getting around the playoff time, and there's Washington and Toronto, and you're like, wait a minute, you're like, wait, these teams are good, and they are again. And here's Atlanta, same thing, and Atlanta just absolutely playing out of their minds, and you just wonder, can it hold? Because everybody was waiting for the Cavaliers and the Chicago Bulls matchup in the conference championship. And right now it's a 4-5 seed. You know, it's a first-round matchup right now if it were to end where they're seated right now going into the playoffs. And it's those top teams, you know, Atlanta and Washington, Toronto, that are really, really playing well.
Yeah, bringing us to Chicago and Cleveland, what everyone's talking about, brought to you by Myrtle Beach Golf Holiday. Start planning your getaway to Golftown, USA. Visit online at myrtlebeachgolfholiday.com. J.R. Smith bringing it last night.
Here's James with it. Along the near boundary, it comes to J.R. Smith. Smith turns on a love screen. Hanley will pop a long one up and in. J.R. from 3.
That's one of those no, bad shot. Good play, J.R.
I feel that's like the career with J.R. Smith. I was like, oh, wow, okay. And every now and then when he gets hot, like last night, you know, when he's 6 of 9 from three-point land, 7-11 of 11 overall for 20 points, when he's hitting it, it works well. When he's not and keeps shooting and not hitting, and when you have others on the court that can score, then not so much. But last night was one of those nights, and as I said, everybody looked to see this as the big matchup in the East, and we'll see. This one almost had all its stars back. Joakim Noah not in the court here, and that could be one of the reasons Mozgov had 15 and 15.
Yeah, he played great.
He did. He did play. He came in and did, as LeBron said, exactly what we wanted him to do once Verjao was out, you know, to get a big man in there. But no Joakim Noah, and that's obviously a big part of Chicago. But from the Cavaliers side, you know, we hear the complaining after a game, and normally when you hear complaining after a game, you think, what's wrong with the Cavs? But this one, it was the Bulls, and Derrick Rose complaining after a game, and we'll get into that. But they're the team, you know, a struggling team right now. As I said, sitting at the 4 seed, still, 4.5 games or whatever up on the Cavaliers. But a team that since the New Year, it's like their New Year's resolution was don't play defense. Which
is so surprising for that team.
Oh, with them, are you kidding me? I mean, a defensive-minded, tough coach, and all of a sudden they seem a bit lackadaisical. A team that it just ended a 13-2 run on January 5th. You know, it had been going well, or a 13-2 run, including January 5th. Their last win in that run was against Houston, and then they're 2-6 since. And all of a sudden have gone from one of the best defensive teams to one of the worst defensive teams. Certainly, they could use Joakim Noah, who's missed the last few games, obviously. But it's been a tough stretch for them. And are we at the point again where we say, all right, all's well with Cleveland again.
Yeah.
All good. I mean, we go so up and down with that team.
And that's the thing. There's differing reasons, Mike. Some would argue the fact maybe Blatch changing things up a little bit. He had a surprise field trip to the bowling alley as a team building experience in L.A. This is a guy on the verge of being fired, potentially. Let's go bowling and cheer ourselves up. A couple of strikes. J.R. Smith, third game of 20 or more points in 6 appearances with Cleveland. The 20 points last night, 7 of 11. You mentioned Mozgov, but most importantly, it's LeBron. I mean, he's averaging almost 32 points per game of 4 games since his return. He was off for those 2 weeks because of that wonky lefty and ailing lower back, but now that he's back healthy, you're right. You feel like this Cleveland team is going to go back to the contender we all expected them to be.
Did you go wonky?
Yeah, a little wonky. Yeah, that's actually a quote from David Benneman's article on ESPN.
It is not.
You're right. His wonky lefty.
It is not. You made that up.
No, that's not a word that I would normally come off the tip of the tongue. Wonky lefty.
It is in there, wonky. I thought you'd have come up with that word. Well, you know, the whole Canadian thing.
No, exactly.
I didn't know,
wonky is big in Canada.
Yeah.
That describes many of our athletic pursuits.
That's wonky, eh?
Exactly. How would you describe his skating? A little wonky.
Well, listen, I have no idea if we figure this out with the Cavaliers. I'm sure they have no idea. And I heard LeBron say after the game, and I agree, every game to them is important. I mean, they're still building that chemistry and that timing and all getting together on that court and playing together, and they have a full slate now. You know, with LeBron missing some time, Love still playing through some back injuries as well. He took a shot to the face last night. It was Gibson backed in and hit him with the back of the head right in his grill.
Right.
Knocked him a little loopy for a bit, but they're, you know, getting guys back on the court. The key one there being obviously LeBron. So let's see if they can make some kind of move because, you know, the Bulls obviously struggling right now, but we just talked about Toronto, Washington, and most notably Atlanta with the winning streak that they're on are the teams that are in front of them right now.
You mentioned the Bulls. They ranked 25th in defensive efficiency since January 1st. That's allowing 106 points per 100 possessions. Very atypical for this team. And Derrick Rose, very outspoken in his criticism.
Everybody has to be on the same page. Until then, we're going to continue to get our hit.
Who's not on the same page?
It's just the whole team. Not communicating while we're on the floor to one another. Everybody's quiet, and until then, we're going to get the same results.
Do you think the bigger issue right now is communication or trust?
trust plays a part too, but communicating in defense and a team sport, I think communication is huge. We're quiet while we're out there, and it's leading to them getting easy baskets, and we gotta give a better effort. It seems like we're not even competing, and it's irritating.
And he's a soft-spoken guy, Mike. For him to be that upset, dropping a few expletives, that to him is the equivalent of a tirade. Clearly, he's frustrated and upset with what he's seeing and hoping this will be kind of a call to the arms for the team.
So if this is harsh for Derrick Rose in his speak, imagine what Thibodeau was saying.
Exactly.
Imagine
his
that.
feeling.
Holy, I mean, there's not, I don't know if there's, as Greeny would say, a coach that probably would scare him more than that coach mad at you and losing his, because you know he is a tough, gruff coach who loves his defense.
From hard-hitting New Britain, Connecticut.
There you go. And that's where they're struggling right now. Now, again, they get out rebounded by 14 overall and 9 on the offensive glass, but no Joe Kimno. You have to throw that in.
He's critical for that defense.
Huge for that defense. So,
right.
But you got to still be able to play some defense. He hasn't been out the whole year.
No, you're right.
I mean, this is a team that was playing good defense up to the start of the new year, and it's really fallen off. So it's. And you see Coach losing his mind as well and getting mad. And is it, I can't imagine where to the point of white noise on that, where it doesn't have the effect that a coach would normally have in that situation. I mean, he's a guy, and this is a team that we just love to watch, especially when you got to the postseason, because it was usually the last couple of years, obviously without Derrick Rose and with injured Joe Kimnoa playing with the plantar fasciitis and injured guys, but they're always tough. They were always going to be physical. They were always going to play great defense. You probably figured they were going to lose this series, but it was going to be a fun series to watch with the attitude and the toughness that they played with, and it's just not there right now. Now, it's a 2-6 stretch, again, after coming off a 13-2 run. So
natural regression a little bit.
They have that in them. We know they can play well, and they're sitting there, as I said, in the 4th slot, a game away from the 3rd slot right now, 7.5 out. So it's not like, chuck the season, but they're certainly in an area that, for the coach they have, seems a bit uncharacteristic.
No doubt about that. A couple other NBA notes to pass along. The Warriors establishing a single-season franchise record, 16th straight win at home, and the Knicks finally snapped their 16-game losing streak by defeating the Pelicans, who, it should be noted, were playing without Anthony Davis, Andrew Holiday, 2 of their best players.
Do you celebrate that? I mean, what do you do? Do you just walk off the court? There's
no joy there.
There's 82 games. I mean, they're all individual games. I get it from a player side and emotion, and you get a win. There's got to be, I would imagine, more relief than anything else as you're nearing the NBA record of 18 losses in a row. You certainly don't want to be tops on that list. That'd be, the Nets at 18, or this is losing streaks for New York area sports teams. The Nets had lost 18 in a row. The Mets in 62 lost 17 in a row. The Knicks were sitting at 16 losses in a row. The only team with a worse record, I believe, in the league with them is Minnesota, correct?
Yeah.
When you're worse than Philadelphia, you got issues.
Yeah, and don't worry, there's still time for the Knicks. They can still rip off an 18-game losing streak, maybe in the second half of the season.
That's true. They can match that. They have it in them.
They do have it in them. Well, give it up for Vince Wilfork and the entire New England Patriots team. Not only the fact that, of course, the Patriots are in the Super Bowl and they're preparing for what should be an excellent game against the Seahawks in Arizona, but also the fact that Wilfork playing hero. Now, this is a story you don't hear every day. When you do, it's notable. A few hours after the Patriots won the AFC Championship, Mike, the defensive tackle, Vince Wilfork, helping free a woman who had flipped her Jeep Wrangler on Route 1 in Foxborough. The driver, 38-year-old Mary Ellen Brooks of Hanson, unable to get out of the vehicle, so the trooper, Kenneth Prue, said he held the driver's door open and Wilfork reached in, helped lift the operator out of the vehicle with one hand. A state trooper also telling ABC News the woman said she almost bought a Wilfork jersey before the game, not even knowing who number 75 was. Here's how Wilfork explained his heroic act.
Through football and the course of life, I learned, just try to stay poised in certain situations. And I'm pretty sure she was kind of scared. So the last thing I wanted to do is have her panic. And that's the first thing I told her. I said, don't panic. I'll get you out of here. So we was fine. We got her out. Cops came and That was about it.
Did she ever figure out who took her out of there?
She probably don't know.
Yeah, probably not. Now, was there ever a chance of, or did you even think of, gee, this car, because sometimes when they do that, they can go off and,
No.
It was clear to you that wasn't a possibility.
My job right then and there was to help the person in the car.
A hero on and off the field,
that?
Mike. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild situation. And oddly enough, I have like a similar story.
Which I did not know about. This is great.
Playing with the Eagles, we played a Monday nighter. So still, the night before you stay in the hotel, and Monday morning you get up and you do your thing. So, but it's not a regular game. Normally you go from the hotel right to the stadium for like a 1:00 game, but this is a Monday nighter. So I go home for a little bit before going to the stadium. So you go to the hotel the night before, stay there, do what you have to do in the morning, and then as I was driving home. And in Philly, it's a Monday nighter, so pregame is starting, So this is probably at the point we had our meetings and things like that, it's probably noon, early afternoon type of time as I'm going home for a couple hours before I go to the stadium.
Sure.
And as I'm driving home, it's on a highway, not a major highway, but a couple lane road, 3 lanes, I believe, and a car change lanes quickly to the outside lane where it's one of those where you have the road, a big grassy middle part, and then the road on the other side going the other way.
Okay.
So the guy changes lanes, and he did it quickly and got clipped in the back, and it turned him sideways, and his car flipped. It went off to the road into the middle where the grass is, and it flipped a couple. And I'm 20 cars back, 10 cars back, and see this happen and see the car flipping. So I veered off. Someone else veered off, and they were going to call, 911 and get the police there. And so the car flipped and ended up on its wheels, though. It wasn't upside down like this, but it flipped a couple of times. So I pulled off. I got as close as I could get to it. No flames or anything like that. Didn't see any of that. And got out, and I ran to the car. And as I'm running to the car, I hear the radio is loud, and so as I get closer to the car and I start to hear why I thought of this, I don't know. It's on the pregame, is like on the tailgating for I believe WIP there in Philly was doing a all afternoon pregame, and it was on that station, right? So the pregame, and I get to the guy, and he's buckled in, luckily. He's got a cut in his head and it's bleeding. And I'm going, oh my God, his head is kind of over, and I'm going, God, please don't let this guy be dead. I'm scared to death.
Right.
Running up to this car and hearing this come out of the car, and I kind of look at him and just kind of touch him on the shoulder, and he kind of moves his head and he looks over and looks at me.
I'm a huge fan.
And he says,
"You're my favorite player."
No, he said,
"Is this heaven?"
You got a game tonight. What are you doing here? I thought, dude, just calm down. Everything's cool. You're just bleeding a little bit. You're all right.
Right.
So I just stayed there for a bit. Police came, and I gave a quick statement, and I ended up leaving. But that was pretty wild. I mean, the pregame blare. And then,
was the pregame ripping you at all? Or were they
no, at that point, no. At that point, Adnan had gotten to the D line of breaking that down and killing me. If so, I may have turned around and went the other way. And said, dude, you're on your own.
You're on the way to save the guy. You got his radio. That Golic sting. You know what? Then I'm out of here.
What a story for Vince Reisha pulling her out one-handed out a flipped car.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good for him. Good for anybody that would stop by, obviously, and help in a situation like that.
No question. That's good news for Vince Wilfork and the New England Patriots, who mentioned the fact that they are looking ahead to the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick, by the way, talking about these deflated footballs, which I'm sure he's tired of talking about.
I didn't know anything about it until this morning. We'll cooperate fully with whatever the league wants us to, whatever questions they ask us, whatever they want us to do.
I'm not sure where this goes. I mean, you probably just interview the people who had the footballs.
Yeah, just to reiterate, though, Mike, because in case people weren't listening yesterday, how much of an impact you as a player would know this would deflated football?
Well, again, it's pouring out, so a ball is wet, so it's tougher to grip. So if a football is deflated a bit, it gives a little bit. You can grip it better. That's right. The whole idea of that, grip it better, hang on to it better.
Right.
So, I mean, I would imagine this whole investigation is going to be interviewing people, interviewing the equipment guy, whoever handled the footballs, before they brought them there. Mm-hmm. And then during the game, if during the game, they're talking about if this happened, because all the balls are looked at to 2 hours and 15 minutes, I believe, before the game by the referees.
Okay.
and then there's obviously the ball boys and the people handling the balls on the sidelines. You know, they do it. I'm sure that's what's going to happen. They're going to all be interested in talking to those people, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
And apparently, reportedly, the Colts started to wonder when DeQuell Jackson intercepted Brady. And as you mentioned earlier, we don't know. Could be a fine, could be a draft pick, depending how severe that is.
Right. It'll have nothing. Nothing's going to happen with the game.
Right.
The game they played or the Super Bowl, but because it's the Patriots. And you're getting over, you're talking about Spygate because people still bring that up saying, look, they haven't won a championship since.
Right. They never would have won a Super Bowl if it wasn't for Spygate.
All they did is continue to win and be in 2 more Super Bowls, even though they did lose those. I mean, but you know what? It's going to be a mark on you, and everybody thinks they need to win another Super Bowl legitimately. And now, what do they do if they beat Seattle? Check the footballs. Were they deflated? I'm sure there'll be a microscope on those footballs come Super Bowl time.
Yeah, people in Indianapolis are still frustrated about that result.
Mike and Mike.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike.
Tell us where Greeny is.
Yeah, and Greeny not here today. Greeny is his book comes out today, and it's called My Father's Wives, a novel by Mike Greenberg.
Why is the novel part necessary?
And listen, I goof around a lot about this, but kudos to him. I mean, writing a book, he's a very good writer. And he loves writing. As I said, when we travel, he writes all the time. He's writing or editing or thinking about his next book or, turning, if he can get it into a screenplay, a play, something. I mean, he's very, very talented. But I did bring this up with him. So this obviously his book is completely, it's fiction, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So he gets to make up everything, correct?
Yeah.
Just so I have the definition right?
Yeah, I did read an article about it, though. He said it was kind of based somewhat on his own life. But
I asked him about the names
fiction,
and such, and he said the names he made up.
Okay.
There's a name in here, and I brought this up yesterday.
Like Golic.
If you ever wrote a book and you could make up any name you want for it, would Percival be a name?
No, Troy Percival is what I think
Percival
of.
Sweetwater III, who was a 5-term U.S. senator. Now he says you call him Percy. I said, I understand, but you had a chance to make up any name you wanted. And he went with Percival.
That's pretty good.
So through the book we have a Percival.
Yeah.
And then
he's not really a common man of the people. He's more of an elitist.
And then I just turned to a page.
Sure.
And
he didn't let you read the book ahead of time.
No, and there's 2 books here, and he's not here, so I'm taking one.
I'll take the other one then.
There you go.
Save us $25.
And you always, with writers, it's always, they paint a mental picture for you. Yeah. Obviously, you're reading something, so I always try and get that mental image of what they're writing.
Yeah, a little visualization.
So here's the first mental picture I got. From this bizarre union sprang Serena. Blue eyes. And listen how he describes the color of her. There's blue eyes and skin the color of the inside of a malted milk ball.
Oh, jeez. What is going on?
But, I mean, listen, there's part of me that went, what? That I thought, you know what? I love malted milk balls. I've seen the inside of a malted milk ball many a time because I always have fun trying to just bite off the chocolate and see what the inside looks like.
Because he went to food and chocolate. You're in on this book.
Now, in all honesty, I know exactly that color. So I can envision it perfectly. So kudos, Greeny, on that one.
So all those times when you guys were on flight together, he's looking at you and you're eating malted balls.
I'm the inspiration for his book.
Exactly.
Good point.
You are helping him in ways that you didn't even realize.
Should be getting royalties is what I should be.
My Father's Wives. And bookstores everywhere, Amazon.com, I am sure. So congrats to Greeny on his latest venture. You didn't write a blurb for this one, though, unfortunately. Your wife read the last one.
Yeah, she did a blurb for the last one. He doesn't let me look at the books.
We were talking about Max Scherzer, by the way, and the fact he's got this ginormous $210 million deal. Did get this tweet here from Michael Sanchez that said, don't forget on the Scherzer deal, D.C. has no taxes for non-residents, so that helps too. And Job's also adding, I don't think the Scherzer move changes anything in the National League. I'll expect to see either San Francisco or St. Louis in October. Mike and Mike remind if you want to get in touch with us, tweet us at Mike and Mike through the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Send 1-800-Flowers.com for any occasion or surprise or just because. For exclusive offers, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Do it today.
All right, we're still on ESPN News. We'll be on ESPN2 when the Aussie Open is done for the day, or done with our coverage of it for the day. Then we'll be back on 2. So let's spend some money.
Let's do it, man.
Let's make some bets, shall we?
Prop bets, sportsbook.ag, listing at Super Bowl prop bets. There's always some interesting options.
Forget the game, forget the over-under and the spread. I don't even know what the spread is. Is it
2.5 last I saw for Seattle.
For Seattle, okay. All right, so we got time for that. The prop bets. This is the fun stuff.
Will Marshawn Lynch I feel like we need some music, by the way. If you want to give us some fun music here.
Whatever music you think should go along with
prop bet type music. Will Marshawn Lynch be fined by the NFL for any incident on Super Bowl Media Day?
So Media Day. So remember, when you think of Media Day, and that's on Tuesday, it's Super Bowl week. Good job, Bubba, with the music.
Yeah, I'm just going to play my own music.
Nothing. Oh, that's a little loud now. You better turn that. Yeah, forget that. There you go. Okay.
That's prop bet music.
Yeah, very nicely done.
That's perfect prop bet.
Very nicely done. So Media Day is on Tuesday, and what happens, you see all the players who are at the podiums. And we know Marshawn Lynch in the media and what he does. He's forced to talk. If he doesn't, he gets fined.
He hates talking to the media.
Hates talking. He gives thank you very much answers or whatever answers. Thanks for your whatever his answers may be. Mm-hmm. Last year at the Super Bowl, he was not on a podium, and when you're not on a podium, you're kind of standing around there on the floor of the stadium, or you're in the stands, and they have a sign by you in the stands, and they can go interview you there. He was there last year in the stands, and he was there for a little over 6 minutes, and then he left there and just kind of hung out. And you have to be out there for X amount of time. So, will he do anything at Media Day to get a fine? And he did not get fined for that last year. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to get fined. I think the NFL is not going to put him at a podium. If they do, it would be ridiculous.
Because he's just going to be embarrassing.
He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to talk to the media.
Right.
And I know there's obligations. Put him back in the stands like he was last time. Mm-hmm. Let him give his few answers that'll be a line or
He'll
two.
Do his 5
and
minutes
then hopefully people will just move on to something else. But I don't think he gets fined.
So the prop bet is this. So if it's yes, it's plus 800. No is minus 2,000. So if you bet $100 and he gets fined by the NFL, you win $800.
Okay.
And if you bet $100 and he does not get fined by the NFL, then you'd only get $20.
Wow. Okay.
What will Katy Perry be wearing during her first song performance?
This is great. Love
a
this.
dress/skirt is minus 150, and pants/shorts or any other is plus 110.
The skirt part, I think she's going to wear listen, she's got a body and she shows it off, okay? Let's just cut right to the chase.
This is the type of analysis America needs from Mike Golic.
But, I mean, we're talking about a prop bet here.
No, you're right.
But she's
definitely going to show some skin.
She wears some funky things, so I think I'm going to go pants, shorts, the reason I'm going is the any other.
You're going plus 110.
I'm going plus 110. So if I bet 100, I'll get 110, I guess. That's what it would be, right? See, I don't get this plus 110, minus 150 stuff.
Well, regardless, you're going to
I'm going to make money.
Okay. I'm going to think she goes dress or skirt. Because I'm with you, the fact that she likes to show herself off, so I go minus 150.
By the way, gang, these are actual bets. Yeah. We didn't make these up as some kind of joke. You can bet money on this.
And this is a great one. What style hoodie will Bill Belichick wear? Sleeves are plus 110. A sleeves cut is minus 150.
Well, it's Arizona. It's going to be beautiful there. I looked at the week there. It's going to be highs in the 70s, lows. The lows get into like the 50s and stuff. We're talking about Eastern time, what?
6:30.
6:30? So middle of the afternoon?
Oh, it's going to be
4:30. It's 2 hours different from Eastern?
Yeah.
If it's nice out, I got to imagine you leave it open.
Yeah, it's going to be open.
I don't think there's any doubt he's cutting them. It's going to be too warm.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right. He wants to be comfortable. That's part of his look.
Even if the dome's closed, it's still now it's a dome and you're inside, you're comfortable.
Right.
If the roof's open, it can even be hotter.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he wants to be comfortable, so he's going to have him cut. There's no way he's wearing sleeves. Sleeves is in Foxborough. Sleeves is at the Meadowlands in December. This is not the sleeves weather.
Now, the only reason I say maybe not cut is it's a Super Bowl. Will he want to be more dressy and keep his sleeves?
He doesn't care about that.
Okay, then cut. I say cut.
Like, Belichick's not a guy who looks, I got to dress to impress today. Like, he could not care less about that stuff.
Yeah, I go cut then. Okay.
Now, can he get custom-length sleeves? On Halloween, you clean up your sleeves.
Anything that's either the long sleeve or anything shorter than that. I don't care if it's custom or not. He did get on me. My sleeves were cut wrong, he said.
Really?
He came on set at Halloween when I was dressed like him. They were cut, and he let me know about it. I thought I was going to have to run laps.
He's a detail-oriented guy. Also, Rob Gronkowski, the favorite to score the Patriots' first touchdown at plus 250, while Marshawn Lynch being offered at plus 230 odds for the Seahawks. So
those are two good. Those are two good ones there.
Puts in $100. Could wake a couple $100.
The best ones to me are the Katy Perry, what's she wearing, and the hoodie for Belichick. Actual bets. I love the fact that you can bet these.
Yeah, we'll look up some more.
Because don't they? I mean, as you get closer, I think you could prop bet like the actual time of the national anthem are under over
who
3
wins the
minutes
coin
or whatever.
flip, all that kind of stuff.
That's great.
What songs will Katy Perry sing? You
Bet
can
on
prop
all
bet
that stuff outside. Forget the game.
Right. She's going to sing Fireworks as the first song and the last
game
song.
Last year. Who saw that one coming?
Yeah, 43-8. That was a pick'em game. Oh, give me too close
That's exactly
to call.
right.
That's pretty easy to call.
I'd rather do the prop bets. Holy smokes! I'd rather. How exciting is that? You know you're glued to the TV then to see how Katy Perry's coming out.
Right, and you can tell your wife. Trust me, I have to see what she's wearing. Yeah, sure you do. No. This could buy us some things here.
You want a pool?
Right.
You don't know the amount of money I put on this prop bet.
I have $5,000 betting Katy Perry's going to wear a short skirt.
This pool's either 8 feet deep or 12 feet deep. Okay, depending on what she's wearing. With a diving board.
No question about that. So we'll do some more prop bets, perhaps we get some more throughout the day.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Walks it deep over the middle. Over the shoulder. Catch is made. Touchdown. Game over.
I thought our football team was a special group. They're awesome to coach throughout the year. And, this is a hard one to swallow.
I'm Virk in for Jay Day alongside Golic for Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance, and all of our guests joining us via the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. We're on ESPN Radio now and ESPN2 as our Aussie Open coverage this morning has concluded. So great to have all of you with us here, not only listening but also watching. And coming up around 15 minutes from now, we'll turn our attention towards some other matters. Maybe some prop bets will roll in as well. Tweet us, hashtag Mike's Prop Bets. What do you most want to see? But right now, via that Subway Fresh Take Hotline, we're bringing Rob Demovsky, who covers the NFL for ESPN, the Green Bay Packers specifically. And, Rob, it's interesting. Looking back at that game, and the more I think about it, I keep saying, well, it was a wonderful comeback for the Seahawks, but it feels more like the Packers choked, and they let one get away. When you're up 19-7 under 5 minutes to go and you lose that game, how does this team recover from such a devastating loss like this?
That's a great question because you're right. It was a collapse. I mean, you look at 16-0 at halftime, and that's that's a nice lead, but it's not huge. But that 19-7 with 5 minutes to go, and they had the ball twice up 19-7, and go 3 and out both times. This team's devastated. It was a bad locker room in terms of just the mood after the game, and yesterday when they cleaned out their lockers. They were still in a state of shock. It's going to be several months before they get back together as a group, but it's going to be one of Mike McCarthy's greatest coaching challenges is when they get back together as a group to start that off-season program in April and go throughout the spring and the summer to try to get them, to overcome this. And, there's some losses, some playoff losses in this team's history that have sort of devastated them for a while. They had that 4th and 26 game in Philadelphia, and that really was sort of the downfall of the Mike Sherman era. They never recovered from it. That was really, really tough loss to overcome, and Mike Sherman's program never did. Mike McCarthy had a tough one in the 2007 NFC Championship game, and that really was sort of the end of the Brett Favre era here. They were fortunate enough, obviously, to have Aaron Rodgers, and we're able to rebuild it again. But is this going to be something that they can overcome? Rodgers still, certainly young enough to make another run or 2 or 3 at this, but it's going to be a challenge for Coach McCarthy and his staff to get this group back, in this position again next year or at some point soon.
Rodgers, one of many who said they'll remember this loss for the rest of their career. Take us where, a lot of people can't go. Take us in the locker room after that game and just kind of describe the scene a little bit. Just how.
Well, the image, Mike, that stands out the most is Brandon Bostic, the backup tight end, the one who could have really secured the game by catching that onside kick. He was just in tears in his locker, curled up. Just hands in his head and just, he didn't move for about 10, 15 minutes. And you feel bad for the guy because he had a chance to win the game, but on the flip side, he didn't do his job. His job is to clear out blockers for Jordy Nelson to catch that ball, and they do that, and the game is over. That's just the way the play is designed, and you hear coaches say it all the time, Mike. I'm sure you heard it over and over and over in your career. Just do your job. That was on one side of the locker room. On the other side, the defensive guys who really played a great game for 3.5 quarters and then led 3 straight scoring drives. Mike Daniels he just couldn't even get up. He was just sitting in his locker room, or in his locker. He was talking to reporters just fine, but you could tell he just did not want to get up and leave that building because, he felt like they let one get away, and that was really the feeling throughout the whole room is a blown opportunity.
Talking with Rob Demovsky, who covers the Packers for ESPN. So looking forward now, Rob, clearly a devastating loss. The Packers so close to another Super Bowl appearance. They do not get there. What needs to change this offseason?
Well, I think they need a few more weapons for Rodgers. And defensively, they need to make a couple decisions. The first one is, does Julius Peppers come back? He's owed $9.5 million next year. He had a very good season, probably about as well as they could have hoped for a 34-year-old guy. But that's a lot of money. Do they bring him back at that price? They have some free agents on that side of the ball. Tremont Williams, longtime starting cornerback, is scheduled to be a free agent. And then they need to look at, they still need another playmaker in terms of a pass rusher, even if they do bring back Peppers. That they need this defense, to take the next step. It improved greatly in the second half of the season. Tom Capers did a good job getting this group from, really one of the worst run defenses, the worst run defense at the midway point of the year to respectable by the end. But they can't, they cannot allow the great running backs to have the 150-yard games that they've given up, Lynch and DeMarco Murray and guys like that. I know they're great backs, but if you're going to win those games, you got to limit them. Keep them under 100 and then try to make other guys beat you.
Always a cold winter in Wisconsin, particularly brutal and longer and colder when the Packers don't win the Super Bowl. Thanks so much, Rob. Appreciate the insight.
All right, guys. We'll be seeing you.
Thanks, Rob.
That is Rob Demovsky.
I've never made it to a championship game. The farthest I made it was we made it to the divisional round the year, horrible year, obviously, when Jerome had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
We went to New Orleans and won in the wild card weekend. Then we went to the divisional round to play the Dallas Cowboys, and we lost to them. They went on to win the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl in '93. But the one thing that it's just so wild is for like a team like Green Bay, and then obviously magnified because it's an NFC Championship game. You're winning, and then you're winning that game 19-7 with 5 minutes to go. You go all the way from that. Just go time, just hours of when that was going on to hours later. They're in their own locker room in Green Bay cleaning them out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 5 minutes from going to the ultimate game, and however many hours later after the game and the plane flight and then going in the next day to cleaning out your locker. And I can't tell you it's hard to explain what a wild feeling that is when you get to the playoffs. And again, this was 5 minutes from the Super Bowl. I was in a divisional round, and in that game, Dallas kind of blew us out. So we kind of knew for that going to the end of that game that we were going to lose that game because of the score. So you kind of already get it in your head. But just the suddenness of it, it's over. You think you're up 2 more weeks and playing in the Super Bowl, and here you are cleaning out your locker room and knowing the guys you're seeing, it's not always going to be the same. There's going to be some differences. It's a wild situation. I can't even fathom their feeling right now, and I completely agree there. And that's one you will never, ever forget. Ever.
Devastating situation there for the Packers.
Mike and Mike.
ESPN NFL analyst Mark Brunell is in the house with the Subway Fresh Steak. You were just telling us your glasses on, glasses off here right now.
And then I'm in transition. I don't know if I'm a full-time guy. I'm not completely comfortable with them. So far,
you're okay, but if you have to look down, you need them. So maybe you should get the chain.
The chain?
The
like
chain,
a librarian.
The chain, and then you bring them in the front.
Yeah, the magnetic in the front.
It won't be long. It won't be long.
That's old guy problems, huh?
That's right.
Oh, my God.
You're looking slick regardless. This is a good look at
you. Thank you, brother.
I want to ask you first about Gary Kubiak in Denver now. So the whole thought is this. Kubiak might be able to entice Peyton Manning to stay one more season. How will their relationship coexist? You know these personalities. What impact do you think it will have for a guy like Peyton Manning who might want to give it one more chance?
Well, I think Peyton Manning does want to give it one more shot. I was told long ago when I was a young player, play as long as you can. And that's true for even Peyton Manning. He doesn't want to go out like he did. He wants to take another crack at it. Now he gets a new opportunity with Gary Kubiak, brilliant offensive mind, proven coach, a lot of success. Obviously, the head coach and the general manager and John Elway will be on the same page. It'll be a new environment, a good environment. I see Peyton Manning coming back. And if you're Gary Kubiak, you want to hit the ground running. You don't want Peyton Manning because you don't want to start with a young guy, wait for him to develop. You want to win football games right now, you do that with Peyton.
The easy answer, and maybe it is the answer, is you have a little bit of Peyton and a little bit of Kubiak as far as the offense. But realistically, is Kubiak like whatever Peyton is going to – not that you just walk in and say, Peyton, it's your offense, do whatever you want, but isn't it basically going to be, Peyton, you run, we're going to run what you're comfortable running?
Mike,
right?
Absolutely. I mean, Peyton's been doing the same offense his whole career, and it's been his offense. And, maybe the little bit of terminology is different. I doubt it. Maybe there's some concepts that Gary likes that Peyton isn't familiar with. But listen, 90% of that offense, what they do, Gary Kubiak is going to fit what Peyton Manning wants to do. And I just seeing that happen. Peyton Manning, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. Peyton Manning's one of the best to ever play the game. So go with it. I think they would work well together.
Mark Brunell in studio with a Subway Fresh Take at Subway. Experience the breakthrough taste of new grilled chicken strips. Subway, eat fresh. We're on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. A lot of talk about Andrew Luck, Mark, and the fact that he might get paid the largest contract in NFL history and it's going to get taken care of. But it feels like watching the Indianapolis team, more so in the playoffs than ever before, there's just not enough around him, both defensively and offensively. It seems like almost like they're repeating what they did with Peyton, which was, okay, we have our superstar quarterback, you figure out the rest, and it feels like they should be helping this guy out a little bit more. As a quarterback, maybe you can speak to that.
Listen, it's a very situational position. It's a very dependent position. Even if you're Andrew Luck, even if you're Peyton Manning, you need people around you.
Right.
And it was evident in that game the other day that Andrew needs some guys around him. Now, whether you pay him or not, I think you pay him. That's going to be the going rate for franchise quarterbacks.
$25 million.
$25 million. And listen, and he defines what a franchise quarterback is all about. He's young. He's only going to get better. Listen, that is who you build around. But they've got to build around him quick. He's going to be a real good one for a long time. A Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. But he's got to have guys. Listen, my best years when I played, Mike, were when I had good people around me, good receivers, a running game, a solid defense. Those guys made me better, and that's the situation that Luck finds himself in. He needs guys that are going to make him better. He's already pretty dang good, but you've got to add some talent around.
Yeah, the running back situation certainly didn't work out with Trent Richardson. You like T.Y. Hilton. I like their two tight ends. Reggie Wayne certainly isn't going to play forever. Had some injuries on the O-line as well. Staying on the quarterback, and in this, not to preview the Super Bowl, but Russell Wilson, who also, by the way, is going to get paid this offseason, I think a lot of people are looking at his game against Green Bay and say, oh, well, there it is. Okay, maybe he really isn't that good. Do you put any bearing on that game and what we should expect to see out of him in the Super Bowl?
I think it's clear that Russell needs to develop as a passer, okay? Will he get better? Yes. Is he a pure pocket passer? No, he probably never will be, but he'll get better. But I tell you what jumps out at you is his heart, his resolve. Listen, if I throw 3 or 4 picks, I want that game over with. I want to get out of there. Listen, this one's over. The statistics tell me that I got a 0.05 chance of winning this game. Let's start thinking about 2015 season. Listen, this kid didn't quit. He kept fighting, and sure, he's surrounded. You talk about surrounded by a supporting cast. There's a difference there between the Hawks and the Colts, of course. But listen, I think he's only going to get better, and he's been in the game before. Last year's Super Bowl. Nothing would surprise me with this kid. I'm impressed with him, more so on what's inside than what I see as far as the X's and O's.
I don't look at that game at all and say, oh, that bad game, that's going to carry over. Everybody has a bad game. He had a bad game. Hits a heck of a quarterback.
Those last 2 passes were exceptional.
It's unbelievable.
That's how you recover from 4-interception game. A little bit of fun here, Mark. We're taking our favorite prop bets here. Hashtag Mike's Prop Bets. And these are like some legitimate ones as to what Katy Perry's going to wear and all that kind of stuff.
I don't have to bet on that. No. Okay, I get in trouble.
Here's one for you. I want to ask you this. This is from Christopher.
You're not dressing her.
Over under, how many missed high fives Tom Brady on the sideline?
Oh, gosh. He's going to miss at least 6.
It's amazing how they do that.
The Super Bowl, it's a huge stage, all right? Nobody's giving him a high five. The question is, will he have an opportunity to get a high five? That's going to be a tough football.
Or is he left hanging, or how many times he's caught swearing, or everybody's caught swearing on the camera? How about a legit? This is a legit one. Bill Belichick in his hoodie, long sleeves are cut.
Oh, Arizona.
Could it be warm?
So we say
Arizona. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take that bet.
Okay.
One more for you. Whether an offensive lineman scores a touchdown. Mike was pointing out that happens with these teams.
Last couple weeks, right?
Last game in Seattle it happened and New England it happened.
Because you would expect it to happen with Belichick. It's not happening.
You're saying no.
They're not going with it. No, they're not going with it.
I like the confidence you have.
I made the mistake.
Brunell's like, yep, done.
I made the mistake of putting the paper in front of him and he didn't have his glasses on, so he has no clue what he's looking at. It's just this blurry sheet just got pushed in front of him until he put his readers on.
It's come to that point.
He's going to have a LASIK deal here.
We all get there, my friend. We all get there.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike.
The Bulls have played without energy as if they're a depressed team. They've been flatlining for 2.5 weeks.
Everybody has to be on the same page. Until then, we're going to continue to get our ass kicked.
Chicago Bulls, Derrick Rose critical of his own team and the performance of the club after they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Adnan, Virk in for Graney alongside Golic today. We're Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guest joining us via the Subway Fresh Take Hotline, which is where we find our NBA analyst, Mark Jackson, kind enough to join us this morning. Mark, good morning to you. Let's talk about Chicago and what Derrick Rose had to say. Do they get a bit of a caveat because of the fact that Joakim Noah was not in that lineup, or is there a greater concern now with Chicago, especially on the defensive end?
Well, thanks for having me, and good morning, everybody. I will say that they're not looking like the dominant defensive team or the dominant team that we saw early on and we've been accustomed to watching the last couple of years. Giving up points, not having the same type of multiple effort plays defensively, not getting after it the same way. I think you can easily have an excuse in Noah's absence, but at the same time, this has been a team that has underachieved defensively for the season now, and I think it's a concern because this is a team that we picked pretty much to come out of the East, and that's with LeBron going to Cleveland, because of adding Pau Gasol and what we've seen them do in the past. So it's a frustrating time for not just the guys in uniform, I'm sure for Tom Thibodeau also, and they've got to get it right if they want to have an opportunity to win it all, because we know they get it done on the defensive end, and that propels their success.
And getting it right on the defensive end, in your mind, is that more X's and O's or just more flat out want to?
Well, that's a great question. I think it's a combination of both. You can have the will and the desire, but you have to have the schemes, the discipline, and the understanding of what you want to take away from opposing teams. It's the same thing in football. You can have the will and desire, but if you don't have the game plan and the game plan discipline, there'll be no success. And Tom Thibodeau is a guy that's proven to have a game plan that will take away the strengths of the opposition. Right now, they are not getting it done.
Talking with Mark Jackson right now. Chicago Bulls not getting it done, but the Cavaliers are. 3 wins in a row, and LeBron James looks as spry and energetic as ever after that 2-week break. Some thought, Mark, that maybe David Black gets some credit. He's loosening up a little bit, took him on a bowling trip. J.R. Smith has been giving them a boost offensively. Maz got 15-15 last night. What do you think is the biggest reason, beyond LeBron James, that the Cavaliers now look to be the team we thought they would be?
Well, they're playing much better. And give Coach Black credit. He took heat when they were not playing well, and right now coming off this West Coast trip, and then a big win against Chicago. If you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, you can care less about what Chicago's going through. It's a quality win, especially the first game back off of a road trip. So they're playing much better. They certainly made good moves by adding depth and quality. When you talk about Mazdal, when you talk about the play of J.R. Smith. And a healthy LeBron back, and they're looking like the team that we thought early on. I think Kevin Love playing well. Kyrie Irving has always been special, so it'll be very interesting. Can they sustain it? And I think the only way for them to sustain it, getting back to Chicago, is for them to continue to play good defense. I think that's going to be Cleveland's whole issue. They've got to defend at a high level because they can't just think they're going to outscore people every single night.
And off the court and behind the scenes, something that you can answer, because you've been behind the scenes and most of us haven't, certainly in that sport, is anytime things go wrong, Blatt, because of his background, he gets kind of ripped for it, and people always want to bring up your name as a coach coming back. But even forgetting all that, go to the head coach and a player relationship. What needs to have to happen behind the scenes with a coach and really the best player, in this case LeBron or the top players. Does there need to be one-on-ones? Does there need to be more communication? How should that be working?
Well, I can't speak for them in general because I don't know how they handle it, but I will tell you that as a head coach, it's important to have dialogue with not just your best player, but your players overall. You got to allow them an inside view of what's expected of them. You got to hold them accountable. And then when you talk about the best player, this is a joint venture. You got to make sure you have dialogue with them and give them something to want to play for and get their understanding and their ideas and thoughts of where you're at and what it will take to get you to where you both want to get to. I think it's important to have that communication and that dialogue. And when you don't, then there's a breakdown. The way to get them to buy in is to make sure that they're part of the whole process of putting together a plan to accomplish your goals.
Working with Avery Johnson yesterday, Mark, and we were talking about, now the midway point of the NBA season, giving out some hardware. Coach of the Year, Mike Budenholzer, the job he's done with the Hawks. Defensive Player of the Year, Anthony Davis. Rookie of the Year, the Canadian Andrew Wiggins of the Timberwolves. But MVP, Avery said he'd go with James Harden, and just what a scoring machine he's been for Houston. I would lean towards Steph Curry. He's the best player on the best team, the team you know well, the Golden State Warriors right now. Who would your pick be for MVP?
It's awfully tough. I think both of those guys, you can't go wrong either way. Both guys playing at an extremely high level. Both guys incredibly talented on the offensive end. And both guys have been the key to success of their teams. When you're talking about Dwight Howard missing quality time, James Harden played incredible basketball throughout the whole first half, and Steph has been special. So I don't think you can go wrong either way. The one I would probably disagree with Coach Avery is I would probably lean towards Draymond Green as the Defensive Player of the Year. What he does for that Golden State team is absolutely incredible on the defensive end.
And back in the Eastern Conference, a general question, everybody thought maybe the prognosticators beginning of the year that it would be Chicago and Cleveland that would meet in the conference finals, and we still have a ways to go. Right now, they'd be a first-round matchup sitting at 4-5. I guess the thought is even if those two teams start to go on a run, do you see anything now? Toronto right now 3-7 in their last 10, but we know the run Atlanta's on. You see Atlanta, Washington, or Toronto really going anywhere? I mean, for those two teams to go up, they'd have to win, but the teams above them, they would have to start losing a bit as well.
Yeah, I think, Toronto has not played its best basketball, of late, but getting DeRozan back, you've got to try to, get that gel and that mix back again when you bring in a dominant player that's been hurt. And I think that's important. But when you're talking about the Eastern Conference, I think it's wide open. And I think the problem that Chicago, that Cleveland will have is they've created monsters. When you're talking about Atlanta, Toronto, these are teams that they feel like they're better than them. When you talk about Washington, who they face, they're going to feel like they're better than them 1 through 5, 1 through 15. It's not going to be who has the best player in LeBron James. These teams now all of a sudden feel like they're the best team in the East, and why not them representing the Eastern Conference? And that's a dangerous place to be.
All right, Mark, put back the player's cap back on, really toward the end of your career. Kobe Bryant acknowledged that the possibility of retiring after the season, he has another year on his deal, but he said the possibility of retiring after the season has crossed his mind. So I ask you this as a player. Once it's crossed your mind, how close are you to it?
Well, you know you're there. You may be at a stop sign, but you know you're in the neighborhood. And that's probably the truth as far as Kobe is concerned. I don't think that he's going to retire. And the reason why is because he's still playing at a high level.
This has been the Best of Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio Pod Center. To hear more from Mike and Mike, log on to ESPNradio.com and become an ESPN Radio Insider.
The Best of Mike and Mike.
Why do we snack? Hunger? Taste? Because we have nothing better to do? Well, people who snack on almonds not only have something better to do, they're doing it. Almonds are heart health for those with heart. Packed with energy to keep up with anyone. It's that one-of-a-kind crunch that promises to keep you in the game for a long time to come. California almonds. Crunch on.